Hello and welcome to episode 5 of the Board States podcast. We are your host, Reggie and
Jazz.
And today we are talking about the best hobby in the world, board games, just like always. But we will start as we like to do, as we are wont to do. I have brought a trivia game here that I'm calling, we've always called State of Mind. And today it is based on a real party game, again, called Poetry for Neanderthals. So very excited to do that. But the main topic is emerging genres in board games. We have been noticing that there are a lot of different genres of games, whether they have a mechanism or an official name, maybe they have colloquial names, maybe we've just named them on our own, but we're going to talk about some games within this genre that we like and whether what's coming up that's hot and trending in the genres of board games. And we will close out, as we always do, with En la Mesa, our first impressions segment. And we kind of both picked similar games today. So Jazz is going to talk about Camel Up, and I will close us out with the game Hot Streak. So let's just get right into it with the State of Mind, and we'll explain the emerging genres when we get to the main topic. So have you played Poetry for the Neanderthals, Jazz?
No, I've heard a lot of people that have. That's a fun little party game, right? You got to speak in like one syllable words, right?
Yes, that is correct. That is correct.
Yeah.
And today, before I forget, last episode I really forgot our VP. Our VP is my actual favorite little savory dish in Puerto Rican cuisine. My mima, shout out to my abuelita, who makes these really, really good. I have not had a good one since I was like a teenager. Bacalaitos.
Oh,
okay?
man.
Yeah, little codfish dumplings, and it's so crazy in like Portuguese, in Italian, in a lot of different languages, the same word for cod is like bacalao or something similar to that. It's bacala. So I just love that like cross-cultural thing. Do you have you ever heard of bacalao?
Oh, yes. Bacalao, bacalaitos, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And I haven't had it in a long time. So we gotta go to a Puerto Rican restaurant. Shout out to Boriken in Beaverton here in my town. There's actually a Puerto Rican restaurant near me. It's really, really good. Okay. So you're going to earn some bacalaitos with Poetry for Neanderthals. This is a real party game. And in the real game, you split up into teams and you're trying to get your team to guess a word, and you cannot use any 2-syllable, 3-syllable, only 1-syllable words. I'll give an example in a second. And my 9-year-old niece loves this game because there's a big, giant, inflatable, like club. Like Fred Flintstone. Yeah, I think like Fred Flintstone. And if somebody does the wrong word or does a too long word, you get bonked. And I think that's great. It's very taboo, like also if you haven't played Taboo. So instead of just random words, I have 4 board games that I have, and we're not coming up with it on the spot. You can earn 2 bacalaitos if you just get it right. Otherwise, if you don't get it right, if you guess wrong or you have no idea, I'll do a 10-second timer and I'll just try to actually get you to get it after, and you can get 1 point if you get it on like the free round.
Okay.
So I'll do an example for the my favorite game. We're keeping a tally here. I think I have managed to mention this game every single episode here. So for example, if I were to say best game of all time with birds and eggs, what might you think is the board game I'm talking about, Jazz and listeners?
Maybe Wingspan, Reggie?
Maybe Wingspan. Thank you very much. Great job. So that was the example. That was a gimme. No points for that. Great job, though. Are you ready? I've got 4 games, varying, popularity, varying difficulty, complexity, all that. Are you prepared for are you ready to get into the Neanderthal mindset?
I'm excited to see what you came up with and to describe them with these 1-syllable words.
Yeah, I did do this ahead of time. Yeah. For you listeners, as always, we want you to be able to play along. So hopefully whatever you're doing, commuting, doing dishes, whatever you're doing here, you may be able to listen. Cooking, you might be cooking some amazing Puerto Rican cuisine. Who knows? So we're going to start. I think I did it from easiest to hardest as per usual. Okay. Here we go. First board game. Kind of like tic-tac-toe, but you drop red or black disc.
Oh, I'm going to go Connect 4.
Connect Four, good job! Wow, that is a Bacalito. I wasn't sure. I was like, sometimes classic games get forgotten.
Just to forget,
by us lovely, by our. When I listen to other people do trivia, it's like, wait, I forgot about that game. Good job, great job. Wow, easy. That's 2 Bacalitos for you.
There we go.
Next one, I do know that I don't know your familiarity with all the games, but here we go. Me take trick, but not trick with Frog Prince.
Ooh, this is a fun one. Rebel Princess.
Rebel Princess. Man,
nice.
He's leveling up.
Listen.
People, he's getting too good. He's 2 for 2 in episode 5. He was 4 for 4 in episode 4. He's going crazy. I got to make these things harder. I hope you all are also doing well. If Jazz is doing so well, when is the self-proclaimed terrible trivia man, as he calls himself, TTM.
Yeah. I had to get my mind right on these,
Yeah,
he's practicing.
He's locked in now.
I've been practicing.
Yes, he's just this is the life advice we like to give, the wisdom. You're not bad at anything. You're just inexperienced, and the more experience you get, the more you level up,
Exactly.
Good job. Okay. He's 2 for 2. He's got 4 points here. 4 Bacalitos. All right. Number 3. Not a lot of words, but I think you'll get this one. Looks cute, but is mean war game in the trees.
Ooh,
Looks cute.
Listen, we're going back to episode 4 when we were talking about some leader games, and I'm going to say it's Root.
It's Root. Man, I made this too easy. He's killing it. Easy. I thought maybe there's other games that would throw it off, but easy peasy. Hope you guys are all 3 for 3 as well. Good job, Jazz. That is 2 more Bacalitos for you. Root, the game by Leader Games. And finally, I only got one more for you that I prepared. Here we go. Roll 2 dice in France. Grab goats and boats.
Ooh.
Roll 2 dice in France, grab goats and boats.
I'm going to say Castles of Burgundy.
You are 4 for 4, my friend. 2 episodes in a row. How can you go down from here? Or there's only way out, down is up. Wait.
Or in a flaming blaze.
In a flaming blaze. Well done. Wow. 4, 4, 4, 8 Bacalitos earned by Jazz in our very quick episode. See, that's the thing. Why use lot word when few word do trick? We did this really well. That was really fast. I hope you enjoyed that, people listening here. But that is our state of mind. I wanted to give us more time to talk about these emerging genres today. So this main topic here is emerging genres, which is, I don't know, our fancy term. We're kind of like resumeing it, here with the fancy terms. It's like trending styles of games, call it whatever you want. There's a lot of them out there. And the 2 that we text during the week now about games and trying to, plan our next episodes and stuff. And one category of game that I've been seeing more and more of is called lane battlers. And you might not have heard of this, but typically, it's one of those 2-player games, small box card games that has kind of been emerging lately, and there's more of them. And we were just talking about this, and we also thought about trick-taking games have really had their moment. We talked about that a couple episodes ago as well, and I was saying I got my surfboard. I'm riding the wave of trick-taking games as well. So we're gonna both jointly talk about those 2 categories of those 2 genres. We're telling you those, but we also brought 2 each that we're going to surprise each other with. Maybe there'll be crossover, maybe not. So Jazz we'll both start talking about lane battlers. Then Jazz will bring one, and then I'll bring one. Then we'll talk about trick taking, and we'll alternate again before we get down to En La Mesa. So Jazz, why don't you start just giving us what, for the people who don't know, like what is a lane battler and why do we like them so much?
Oh, of course. Well, lane battler, like I said, mostly it's like a 2-player head-to-head game where BGG describes it as there's just several one-dimensional lanes, all right? So, and in those lanes, it's like mini battles going on in each of those lanes where normally players are playing out specific cards to those lanes or spots on the area, right? And some of those cards, they might interact with a card to the left, a card to the right, sometimes a card across from it, but somehow in each lane you're just sometimes vying for power or strength to kind of win out that specific lane, and certain games will have a specific win condition where you have to have a set number of lanes to win, or sometimes you have to have like 3 in a row or two of a kind. But somehow as you play cards out, they might have abilities that might, like I said, interact with cards next to it, across from it, power up some of the other cards already in that lane. But most of them are quick card battlers. Sometimes a lot of these games play within 30 minutes or so, but very fun 2-player games. Reg, what are some games that in this category you think of?
I think that's a great definition. Thank you for. It's one of those weird things where this emerging genre, like I know for a fact one of my 2 that I'm bringing doesn't even have a category on Board Game Geek. Luckily, you can find this under, where was it under?
I think it was under that family category, like the family descriptions. Yeah.
Yes, when you're on Board Game Geek, there's a lot of different things. If you haven't explored it a lot, there's really a lot of different mechanisms, categories, families as well. And under families, there's card games, lane battler. But the number 1 ranked one on there is my personal favorite, and that is Radlands. And I want to talk about that with you in a second. But before that, I didn't even mention to this you in the text, but when I was thinking about this genre of game, we streamed months ago. And we played 2-player only games. I don't even remember when this is. It's still on the Lobby of Hobbies channel. Go find this. Our first stream together, Jazz and I. And we played a bunch of 2-player games, and we played many rounds of a game, or I think at least 2 or 3 rounds of Rift Force.
Yes.
Do you remember this one? Yes, 2021. And that was one of the first ones I was like, oh, this is really, really cool. And I don't even own it. And yet I bought it for one of my buddies who was a Magic the Gathering guy. I think that's another big thing. These games typically do well for people who like TCGs. Star Wars Unlimited is actually in this family on Board Game Geek, which I find interesting. But Rift Force was a really cool one because before the match starts, you draft different factions. There's all these different elements. There was like the shadow and the light and the ice people and the nature or grass. Or
and then the wind and
it's wind. Really cool. And they all have these different powers, and you can place down. And a lot of times there's different suits and there's different numbers. And so with Rift Force, you can place down up to 3 cards as long as they're either all the same suit, or if they're different suits, they have to be all the same value. And so you remember we placed those down, and things would trigger when you put them down, and things would trigger, when you cover something up or when something gets destroyed. It's really, really interesting how much variety is in the mechanisms of these games. And I think what Jazz said that was most fascinating to me is like the mini battles part of it. They're all little mini battles. And my favorite decision space of these games, to shout out another great podcast, is that, you're trying to figure out like what is worth sacrificing. It's like, I'm not winning over in this lane, so I'm going to put all my eggs in this other lane's basket. And then we're both competing for a middle one. I just love that, like, not wasting your resources on a lane that's already kind of foregone. So it's a really interesting thing. It's also very big in video games too. But those are the things I love about it. Do you want to talk about Radlands? Aren't you a big Radlands fan as well?
I am a big fan of Radlands. Radlands is one that I just really enjoy, where you're placing these your characters into specific lanes, trying to in essence, ultimately break through that lane to take down one of their bases. Your opponent has 3 bases that are set out in front of them. It's like
Mad Maxy themed kind of,
Mad Max theme. It's really cool. Like, I think
water is one of the resources.
You have to have that water, and you gain that water resources. You can be able to spend to play more cards, and have those abilities that kind of trigger off of one another. But really, really fun game. I am a huge fan of Radlands. Like we mentioned before, we have played Rift Force, which is one that I do enjoy. And I think Rift Force really brings in fans who are big fan. I know Radlands does it, but Rift Force is another one. Fans who play TCGs like Magic the Gathering, Lorcana, anything like that, where you're so used to this head-to-head card comboing things that are going on. But when I played Rift Force reminded me of more of a TCG version of an older Reiner Knizia game called Battle Line, which I think was re-implemented a little bit later into Shot and Totten.
I think it's the other way around. I think Shot and Totten is the original in 99. Yeah, and that's funny because I just had it open. I was like, oh my gosh, are we about to bring up Knizia for like the 5th episode in a row? It's like we're joking about Wingspan.
He has a billion games out there, so it's not like he's going to come up everywhere.
But we do have to talk about it. I think that's a great one to start with, or to go back to real quick, just to help understand the mechanisms here. Shot and Totten, which I think is like Scottish themed, and Battle Line was more like a Roman Alexander the Great.
Yes.
Oh yeah, Alexander the Great themed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what it is, and Shot and Totten is on Board Game Arena now, so I've been actually playing this pretty regularly now. Is that you are putting out these cards. They have different colors and they have different numbers, very much like a traditional deck of cards. You could probably play this game with a traditional deck of cards if you
I would agree.
added in some different colors. And you're trying to create the best poker style hand. So like a royal flush type hand. I think it's a suited four of a kind is I think the real term. That is the best hand that you could have. And there's also this interesting dynamic of if you play your third card down, or yeah, not four of a kind, sorry, three of a kind. If you play your third card down in a location and your opponent has two in that lane, two cards, and you know based on the colors of cards that are out there, if you can prove like there's no way you can beat this set that I've put in that lane, you just get to claim the stone. You're just trying to claim the stone from the middle of the two ones. And so that's really interesting. It really boils it down to the simplest way. It's like you're battling over these lanes, and instead of like area majority or values or abilities, there's no powers. It's just who can make the best poker style hand in each of those sections. So if you have never played one of these, I would recommend Shot and Totten or Battle Line, and also, which I think Jazz has played, so we can talk about this next, 2019's Air, Land, and Sea, which was my first exposure to this. So are you an Air, Land, and Sea fan?
I'm a huge Air, Land, and Sea fan, and what I really like what Arcane Wonders did is they just reskinned it as well, and they made like this cutesier version called Air,
Critters
Land, and Sea. Critters at War, and it's just the same exact game, but doesn't have that that World War II type like card art where it's just like little critters that are just battling it out in the war. But what's cool is that you play the card out. You play it for its ability side up, and might have a numerical value with an ability, but or else you can place it face down, which I think is just a generic number 2 on the back end of it, where it has no abilities. But what's really cool is that as you're playing cards, you can flip some of your opponent's cards over to kind of make their lane a little bit less, but moving cards from one area to the other. I think it's like 16 cards or 18 cards in the deck.
It's so incredible. And I have to say, shout out to my amazing co-host here, Jazz. Like we're on the same wavelength. I had both the original version and Critters at War. And as soon as I got Critters at War, I gave my original World War II version away. I love the Critters version so much. I love the art.
The card art's amazing.
I haven't actually played the expansions, but I think it's great. It was my first exposure to it. And the thing that's really, I think, genius about the game is that you're trying to win 2 of the 3 theaters, is what they call them. Air, Land, and Sea are the 3 lanes. But what I really love about it is that you can bow out of the round. So
correct.
It's a really good way to counteract luck of the draw. If I draw all the 6s, which are the highest numbers, I have a higher chance of winning. And if your opponent, that you drew a bunch of really low numbers, you feel like you're going to have a bad time, you could bow out right away before the match even starts, and you give your opponent the least amount of points. But the later you wait in the round to quit, the more points that the opponent is going to get. If you only have one hand I think if you have only one card left in your hand, they still get the same amount of points as if they won.
If they won a full hand, yep.
It's just so great. I think it is. It's definitely. It's respected. It looks like it's got a lot of ratings and decently ranked up here, like 415. But I just think it is such a nice little game. And it was one of those games that I thought my wife, the queen, would not like. And I also thought, I even told her so confidently, I was like, babe, this is my kind of game. I just want you to know, like, I'm really good at this style of game. You're like, I'm probably going to stomp you for like 5 games. You're going to get good at it. And we played the first time and she just destroyed me. Like, not even, I don't think I even scored a point on her. And I was humbled so fast. Oh, so we actually played Critters at War. It's a very good, like, weeknight game. It's so fast.
Yeah, it is. I really enjoy it. Battle Line was the first lane battler that we brought into my house many years ago when I got early into the hobby, and me and my wife, we just played the heck out of this game, and she just destroys me all the time. And she's not a poker player, but man, she card counts. You have I don't think I've ever played Shot and Totten. I've played only Battle Line, but Battle Line has these special ability cards that you can draw from that deck specifically, and then it they pretty much kind of like manipulate the way the game is. But when you play a special ability card down, you can play another special ability card down until your opponent plays a special ability card. But they really change the game. Like you have cards that can be used as like a wild card, cards that can be used like as a wild 8. There's so many different ways. But yeah, we played that one. We loved it. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna get Air, Land, and Sea. And when I bought it, I just bought the expansion right along with it. Just mixed everything in. All it just adds more stuff. It doesn't make the game any more complex. And I remember I went to Stonemaier Design Day a few years back, and this was the one that we took on the airplane with us, and we remember being in a couple of different cafes, like even after Stonemaier Day, and we just played the heck out of that one. So yeah, great little lane battler.
Yeah, it's just such a we could talk about this forever. I do have to give 2 quick shout outs to more sleeper ones. If you are a fan of this genre, I want to shout out Colossi, which I did a preview for on Our Family Plays Games. It came out. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to look this up really quickly to give some credit to our boy. The company, it is a like tactical hand building lane battler game is what I would call it. Catacomian is the publisher, and the designer of it actually has a podcast where he talks about board game design, and solo podcast, and he does like 15 episodes. I will put a link in the description to his podcast. I'm not remembering it right now, but I've been really enjoying it because they're so fast. So Colossi is great, really cool, adds a lot to this genre. And the other one that I did get as a review copy is called Desperate Oasis. And if you're on Instagram, if you're on Board Game Instagram, you've probably seen this one. It's got these beautiful, unique art of all these like desert themed animals with like a desert rat and like an elephant and an oryx. And it is a really quick and snappy one. And the crazy thing is that there's a lot of sending things over to your opponent's side of the board or stealing from their side, which is really fun. And it's got these awesome like square cards. So beautiful games. I just wanted to shout out 2 of them that like are, again, very recent, 2024, 2020, both of them actually. And so something that you might want to check out if you like this genre, if you like the older ones. There's a lot of new ones that are hitting the table.
There are a lot of new ones. Like Compile, I think, was a big one from last year, and that's like sold out and it's still hard to get.
Compile was huge. It was so hyped, and yeah, that's a great one. Okay, I think we have to move on, unfortunately. Well, we could talk about this forever. We're gonna Jazz, do you have your first genre that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I think this genre has been around for a while, but I think it's really starting to gain traction because I think they're just they're finding new ways to kind of implement this genre. And for me, this is like just tableau builder type games where it's just like this level of like set collection. Sometimes there's open drafting that encompasses this, but pretty much a tableau builder is a game where you are playing cards or playing tiles, whatever, out in front of you. Like you're creating this tableau of cards in front of you that trigger, they combo, they have some abilities that you have this card and this card, they work well together and allows you to now gain this card for free or gain this card at a reduced cost. But those tableau builders find ways to just, again, try and score the most points against your opponent. And like, I would say 3 of the hottest games that have released in the last 2 to 3 years have been, for me, Far Away from Pandasaurus Games is the first one. I would also probably say one that I know Reggie's I believe you're a huge fan of this one, and this is another Pandasaurus. This is Castle Combo.
Castle Combo, yep.
Castle
I knew
Combo,
you'd say that.
where
Yep.
it's
I
like,
love Castle Combo.
you're creating a 9-card tableau and you're trying to figure out how these cards will score against one another based off of their placement, based off of what's next to it, things like that. And one that I think I know I haven't played is from Thunderworks Games, but I know a lot of people this is on Board Game Arena for those that want to play it, and this is called Flip Tunes. This is from the same designer as Cartographers, Jody Adon, and this is another like, tableau builder. I think you're creating like this
little bit of a deck builder too. Yeah, a little bit of deck building. That one's really cool. Same designer as a game I'll talk about in a little bit.
Yeah, it's not one that I've played yet. I know a lot of people, there's a lot of buzz around this at this past Gen Con this past year. But I'm excited to try to check this one out. Yeah, I love these tableau building games. I know,
and you're kind of
Pixies
focusing
is
on
another
smaller,
one.
smaller
Yeah.
tableau builders. There's a lot of small box tableau builders.
And
we
there's
know the big boys.
box tableau, like Everdell, which is a worker placement game that has tableau building in it. That is which is another reason I love that game. It's worker placement and tableau building, but tableau building, these smaller box tableau building games have been just popping up everywhere, and they're getting a lot of buzz.
Wow, yeah, the Everdell could have been a great tight end for our board game draft.
It was on my short list. It was on my short list.
So if you've listened to episode 4, you know what we're talking about. We'll get you the results next episode. Okay, that is great. I you know me. I love tableau builders. I think our listeners know we both are big fans of this from just earlier episodes. It's just a genre of, and it's just so funny because it's like you played all these games back in the day, and you would put cards down on your table, whether it was TCGs. Like for me, it was like Yu-Gi-Oh! Back in the day. I always said that, But even card games, like I'm playing Rummy and those things, and you're kind of making a tableau, and I just thought it was putting it on the board or putting it on the table. But I just feel like an American when I'm playing games. But when I'm playing modern board games, I feel very French because I want to say tableau. I like to play on a tableau. I remember when I first heard it, I was like, why are we being fancy with this? But now I get it. Now I understand, and I have no qualms with it. I do love tableau builders. It's, my favorite game of all time is a tableau builder, Wingspan. Marvel Champions is high up there. Arc Nova is a tableau builder.
Yes, it is.
It really is. Those are my top 3 board games, are all tableau builders. Res Arcana is in my top 5 or 7 or so. And a lot of them tend to be engine builders as well, but not always, which I think is really cool. So, it's a great genre, and it just seems that more and more games are coming out that are in a smaller form factor that are still giving you that tableau building feeling. I think that's awesome. Okay. My number one, we each brought 2 here, is a genre of game that some people, they've never, ever experienced, never tried this before, and I was hesitant towards, and that is not just games that have solo modes, but games that are solo only. I think this is something that is really emerging as a genre. And so I'm calling this solitaire games, from the original card game Solitaire that everybody had on Windows 98, Windows XP. But in the last few years, I have been seeing more and more games. Every single preview of the big cons that are just on the hotness, these completely solo games. We just did the episode on Essen. And shout out to my friend Crimson Iris over there, amazing YouTube channel. Help her get to 5,000 subscribers. They have a bunch of, she had her own list of games, and one of them is called Hercules and the 12 Labors. Have you seen this one?
I have not.
Kickstarter. Yeah, I think it's either Kickstarter or GameFound. Go check that out. It is, about Hercules and his 12 labors, the mythology there. And it's a completely solo game with these beautiful, like, custom dice and this insane card art. And it was really high on that hotness of the Essen preview. And that is one that's coming out. And you click on it and it says 1 player. There's no other options, And I think that is something that, especially since the pandemic, has been kind of rising. Like, you need these games. And for me personally, this is something that I've talked about on, other channels or when I've been guest appearing to, when I'm defending solo games, is like my wife. She's amazing. She's such a trooper. She's played more games with me than anyone else, but she's not ever excited to sit down and play a game. Like, it's just not her hobby. It is my hobby.
Yeah.
And so sometimes, like, if it was up to me, I'd be playing a board game 3 to 4 nights a week. That's how much I love it.
Me too. Yeah.
And I'm getting maybe one, typically maybe one, is really in the honest truth. And so having these solo games is really awesome. So I'm going to shout out my top 3 here, especially newer ones that I've been playing lately. Number 1 is For Northwood, and that is a trick-taking game, which we'll be talking about trick takers later, but it is a solo trick-taking game, which in and of itself is like, what? How does that work? Basically, you get to look at your hand and you get to pick one of these rulers that you are going to have a conversation with. And the ruler is a certain suit, and whatever suit that is becomes the trump. And you flip from a deck and you have to follow suit. You're always following suit to the deck that gets flipped, but there's all these little ability suit. It looks like it's another one of these that looks really cute, like Root, but it is a mean little trick taker that you can get destroyed and get super low points. And I love when a solo game has thresholds where it's like, okay, if you got at least 12 points, you get 1 star. If you got, or you, yeah, it's like easy, normal, or hard, or just, I don't like when it's like, just beat your high score. I typically don't love that. So Fort Northwood's a great one. Most recently, the one that has really been hitting my table and just really impressed me is a Scott Alms game called Conservas, or Conservas. You might know this one, yeah.
Yes.
And that is the one about, which is a real delicacy in Spain, which I've never had, but like all these different seafoods get canned with like olive oil, and they're just lunch and just things, especially people who live in coastal towns, they just eat this all the time. So you've got pulpo, which are octopus, scallops, I think it's mackerel and sardines. I actually forget what they all are, but there's 4 of the different things, and it's a bag builder. It is a solo bag builder, and you're going to be building this bag, and you're going to be fishing the ocean, and then you're going to be selling these things. And it's also got a spiral notebook, and so each scenario, I think it's 12 months from January to December, and each scenario is a little more difficult, and that's what you use to place down your food or sell them. And it's just a really calm, great little game, and a bag builder that's solo, I just would never think of it. And it's got the kind of it's got the cool thing of, you don't want to overfish, you want to be able to sell enough to make money to buy new boats and everything, but you also don't want to overfish the ocean or you're going to lose completely too. It's this really cool thing. And I'll shout out Scott Alms, he makes a bunch of button shy solo games. There's too many to name them all, but my favorite is called Food Chain Island. I love it. From the button shy series there with these wallet games from New Jersey. Actually, shout out to one of the board states here. Is over New Jersey, and they're just amazing. So there's micro games that are solo, and like I will literally keep it in my back pocket if I'm going somewhere far. Like, it's so great to just sit down if I know I'm going to have some time to myself and I don't want to be scrolling on my phone, because that's just miserable to be doom scrolling. I'd rather sit down and play a solo game. There's a bunch of other ones, but I'll let Jazz see before I spoil any solitaire only games that you've played or you know of heard of lately.
I'm not really a solo gamer, and it's not, for me, it's not the fact that I don't enjoy them, because I do. There's games that I do play solo, but for me, like, I don't specifically purchase games that are solo. Like, what's the one little, I can't think of it, the beautiful little card game. It comes in a small box. It's like a tile laying game where you're putting the flowers down. I have it at my
Gentle Rain. A Gentle Rain?
Gentle Rain. Gentle Rain's a fun one.
That's a solo one, yep. Mm-hmm.
15 minutes. Like, I bust it out at work every once in a while just to kind of just get my mind off of, again, I do, investigative child protective work. So it's like, I got to get my mind out of that realm for a little bit. So I'll bust it out.
That's a pretty great game. That's a pretty great game to get your mind off that.
It's a fun little game. It, really gets you, trying to figure out this little puzzly tile laying game, very relaxing. But For Northwood is one that I've always been interested in. I know it's on Board Game Arena. It's one that I probably have got to get a chance to check out and play there before I actually purchase one. But one that I've played, and I haven't dived into this more. I've just played like the first 2 missions, I think, or like campaign-esque type thing. And this is Hoplomachus Victorum.
Oh yes, I've heard about this one. Yeah,
my goodness, like this is a sprawling, large table presence of a one-player only game. But you're going out on this venture as this gladiator type, and it's the theme, the story behind it is just very
the theming
great.
Is really cool on some of these. That one looks really, but they're not always, and that's what I'm saying, like, I'm only talking about solitaire games that are solo only. There's a lot of great games that have great themes that you can play solo and have great solos. And your mileage may vary. Some of them are some solo modes are really tacked on, like, let's be honest here.
Correct.
But sorry. Yeah.
That is one. Yeah, that's one specific, solo only game that, again, I would have never really wanted to like play this, but I was fortunate enough that Chip Theory had sent me a copy to kind of check out, and I haven't enjoyed it. But I know Conservus, when you mentioned that one, I think Dwayne over from Blackboard Gaming is a huge fan of this one, because I know 20th Century Read picked this one up and distributed over here in the US. And I didn't know that it was a solo only. I knew that 25th Century had put it out. But yeah, this is one that's looking at the theme. That's something that I love. I love fishing. It's just a hobby. But like I'm looking at the card art. It looks beautiful. It's one I probably want to get a chance to check that one out.
And I think for me to just talk about these solitaire only games, the one big thing about it is I can buy the most amazing game that I love that I've enjoyed. Some that we've mentioned on this that don't have a solo mode, and I can't guarantee I'm going to get it played anytime soon. Like if I buy a game that is completely single player, I know that when I have the free time, I will sit down and I'll play this and I don't want to have to bother my partner, my spouse. Like us gamers are like, come play with me, please, my friend. And so I don't have to do that, which is great. So, and it's better than playing it online. I'm yapping so much here, but I got to give a quick rapid fire on just a couple of these big name ones. The original, I think one of the OGs is called Friday from Friedman Freeze. And it's like you're playing Friday from Robinson Crusoe, and you're stuck on this island. It is brutal. I got to borrow it.
Brutally hard.
It's brutally hard. Shout out to my buddy Jason, my coworker. He let me borrow his, and I played it like 3 times and won like one time, the third time kind of barely, maybe fudging it if we're being honest. But that's the best thing about solo games. It's like whatever. Oops, I didn't do that. Which it's totally different than when you're playing with people. You wouldn't want to do that. But he came out with this same exact size box called Freaky Frogs from Outer Space. It's literally what it's called. Freaky Frogs from Outer Space. It is a pinball machine deck building solo game in the exact same box as Friday. It's awesome. I played it like 5 times and then I moved it along, to be honest, but it was worth it for that experience to do it. You can have really big epic experiences like Gloomhaven Buttons and Bugs is a solo only game in a tiny little box, which is the Gloomhaven system, a very popular game, the -- game for years and years. There's war themed games. Shout out to Maquis. It's spelled Maquis. It's very high on my wish list. I'm actually think I'm going to ask for it for Christmas. It is themed around. I'm sorry if I'm getting this wrong. I'm pretty sure it's based in the Netherlands during World War II, like fighting Nazis, and it's like Maquis. And then another one that just came out last year or this year called Anoda, where you are playing a like Japanese soldier who got in real life. He was like stranded on the Philippines for like 3 decades and thought the war was still going on this whole time.
Oh, wow.
And that's the game. Yeah, it's Onoda. Kind of crazy. Under Falling Skies is like Galaga kind of looking game that's, again, solo only. Like aliens are coming down like a tower defense game and you're defending with dice. That's pretty high on my list to try out. And I think the most famous of this whole genre that people go all in on. Do you want to make a guess, Jazz? It's great around this time of year, around the spooky season.
Oh, honestly, I can't even think of it. I'm not really. Final Girl.
Final Girl. Yep.
Final Girl is fun. I used to own Final Girl. I played it, but I had everything. I was like, I'm not going to play all of this.
See, everybody does. People really go hard on that.
But my buddy does own like the first couple of them. So I'm like, if ever I want to play, I'll just borrow it from him. But yeah, it's very good.
And I know so many people who it's their favorite solo experience ever, and I have not played it. So I want to play Final Girl. My problem is I don't want to buy it sight unseen and then end up buying everything. But there's a lot. I don't want to waste too much time. There's some legacy ones. Kingdom Legacy's been really getting a lot of praise recently. And Resist and Witchcraft are I want to say Salt and Pepper is the company.
And 25th Century is distributed them here in the US. Yeah, those really
ones got a lot of love too. Okay, that's my solitaire. Let's talk about Trick Takers.
Yeah, trick taking is just that. For those who don't know, trick taking they're pretty much card games, or pretty much if you've played spades, hearts,
euchre, bridge,
bridge, you've played a trick taking game, and that is where pretty much sometimes there is a trump suit, which is pretty much a suit that is the win all. Pretty much as long as you play that suit and there's no other cards of that suit, it's gonna beat anything at the table. But normally trick takers, you either have a must lead, a may lead, or a must
follow.
A must follow. Yeah. Sometimes a must follow, you have a may follow, and sometimes you have a no need to follow, right? You can play anything out, but normally a must follow is if I play a hearts, or if I play a specific suit, if you have that card in your hand, you must follow suit. And a lot of these trick taking, sometimes they're playing things that are a little bit off. They have like Skull King, for example, has these specialty cards that are in the deck where
crazy abilities.
Even if you have a card that you can follow suit, you can play one of these special cards off suit and kind of manipulate the trick. And you're either trying to win tricks or win hands to gain cards to score points. Sometimes you're not trying to. Sometimes the person you're not trying to win tricks, depending on what trick taking game is. And it's funny because like a lot of these games, especially trick taking, it's been around for so long, but it's especially overseas. Like I know Japan is huge, Asia is huge for trick taking games, because a lot of times over there, they have a lot of small box games, and trick taking is the one thing that you'll see over there. Trick taking and card shedding games.
Yeah.
But I know, I was like, what else can you do with trick taking? And I'm just blown away every year. There's more.
I'd love to answer
out.
Some of those questions. Yeah, I mean, like,
yes,
legitimately, that is the thing that's so amazing by it, is what Jazz is explaining here is it's so simple. You know, the core bones of trick taking is every turn you're going to play a card down. You maybe evaluate your hand. You might be trying to win tricks. You might be trying to lose tricks. There's follow suit, and all these modern games that are taking the trick taking mechanism are just tweaking that system a little bit. Maybe I heard of a game. I can't think of it right now, but I heard a game where you cannot follow. Like the only thing you have to do is just not play the suit that was led. And there's games, the two most highest ranked on BGG are the Crew Mission Deep Sea and the Crew Quest for Planet 9. Guess what? Those games are cooperative. The Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring has one game above it, but those three are all scenario-based cooperative trick-taking games where, you know, you're trying to win certain tricks or a certain number of tricks, and they are so popular and so beloved because that trick-taking language is so ingrained in people. I've heard, you know, bridge players, a lot of times they end up marrying their partner because it's a partner bridge game.
Yeah, it's a partner game.
And you are in each other's head so much, and I'm sure that is just like such an exhilarating thing. I know with spades is the same way. And then there's, you know, the special powers, like Jazz was saying. Skull King is a big example. Rebel Princess is a huge example. There's these big powers and also big event cards, as well as it's a trick avoidance game. Specifically, you're trying not to win the wrong tricks, you know, when it comes to that. And there's games like Cat in the Box where it just changes everything.
It incorporates that area control element in that game. And, you know, as well, there's this level, like area control aspect of placing your pieces out onto the board to score points, but they have one thing I love about Cat in the Box is there is no suit. You create the suit as you play that card. You know, you create the suit.
And it's just so crazy, the creativity. And I will say, I've heard publishers say that there's just every single publisher is getting it's trick taking plus X, you know, gimmick all the time. It's like very much a trend right now. And like we were saying, that area majority is big, and two big games that if you want to play trick taking mechanism that has added something else to it, Arcs, which we both love from Cole Worley, and Brian Baru is the other one that was pretty big as well. And another thing, another genre is 2-player trick takers.
Oh yeah.
You know, which is super rare. Yeah.
Yeah, I know 25th Century they just brought over one that was really popular called The Yellow House. I know that's another trick. I actually have it. I haven't played it yet, but I know that one's, I just pretty much bought it off of the sheer fact that it was well known. And I think I forget the designer, but yeah, it's one of those that the designer's well known for 2-player trick taking games. Yeah. And I was like, I'm just going to add this to my collection.
Why? I mean, you know, yeah, so many. The Fox in the Forest from 2017, Jekyll versus Hyde,
and also the Fox in the Forest. You have the cooperative version of
which
it
is co-op.
Duet,
yeah, that's so true. So there's, I mean, if you just go down this list on BGG, there really are a lot of them, and I think I love the appeal, or I think the appeal is that it is like I said, the bones of trick taking is so easy to understand. If you say it's a trick taker, I know most of the rules already. And correct. I think that's really interesting part about it. And then it's like, we can add this other stuff to it. The other thing is there's so many that are small, like you mentioned. And so it's just so easy to collect them all. I'm getting to a point where I'm like, do I need to have them all? I don't know.
Yes. The answer is yes.
I'm like, because like,
or that's just what Jazz does.
Yeah. Funnily enough, Stonemaier Games announced and just launched their most recent one. It's called Origin Story. Jamie actually designed it with Pete Wissinger, and it's a superhero themed trick taker engine builder. And I said, and the art is watercolor art, the same artist as Wormspan. And I said, hey, take my money. Don't say anything. I want you to just take my money now and get it for me. So I have that on the way. I'm very excited to play Origin Story. Nice. So that's another one that's coming out. So it's a great one. I could totally get, if you were, it's kind of like the nature theme a couple of years ago, especially, or even now still. Like, if you really don't like trick takers, I could see how you'd be very frustrated right now. There's so many new ones coming out all the time. And they're great. If you want to see a big list of them, check out Kovray, Kovray on YouTube. They just did a big video with about. I think I talked about Arcs. I talked about Arcs on there, which is like the least trick taker of them. But so many great games they talk about on their channel.
Yeah, they did a whole trick taking month, I think, last month. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really fun. So. Awesome. Okay, do you want to go to your final genre that is emerging in your mind, Jazz?
Yeah, my final genre is, I think it's just, again, one where you're starting to see more and more, because there was a few games in the back in the past that you saw these, and then now it's like, oh, they're bringing them back out, and they're coming with, they're re-implementing some older games. And this specifically is racing games. I'm seeing more and more racing games. I know specifically the two hottest ones that are out there I have not played. I'm pretty sure you're talking about one today with Hot Streak. Magic Athlete from CMYK Games. Hot Streak from A Magical Athlete, yes. Hot Streak. I know Days of Wonder just a couple years ago just did Heat. Pedal to the Metal.
Days of Wonder hadn't done much in a while, and this has really brought them back. They did Ticket to Ride, and they hadn't had a big smash hit. I don't think since Ticket. I mean, maybe someone will email or comment. Like, I think Heat is their first major hit since Ticket to Ride.
Yeah, it's one that got everybody wanted that game. It is one that. And it's one of those, like, when Days of Wonder puts out a game and it's out of print forever. It's like, Shadows over Camelot. Like, it's one of those that if you don't have it, you're going to be paying an arm and a leg for it. That was also on my list for co-op games. Yes, but it's one I think that, like Camel Up 2nd Edition, been playing a lot of Camel Up lately. But yeah, racing games, I'm starting to see, I know Downforce was really big. And then but now you're starting to, like, there's this huge buzz around racing games, and they're finding ways to implement racing games. I know 25th Century Games came out with, was it Mutton Busting, which was a little racing style party game.
With like which was sheep or something.
Yeah, with like your sheep racing game. Like it's even like Ready Set Bet was a racing themed horse betting game that it was a huge, awesome party game that you see a lot of people playing it at conventions. And you're starting to see this more and more, and I think because you just say, hey, just try and be the first one to win, or bet on these who's going to win, or there's different ways of implementing racing, and you're seeing it more and more. And I think it's something that people who are new to the hobby can just come in and understand what racing is. Like, they know a theme, they know what it's going to do, and they come in expecting something.
For sure. I think I can't think of any, of course I can't think of any off the top of my head right now, but a lot of the big box classic board games, a lot of them were just about getting to the end. It's just very easy. I mean, Candyland is probably the biggest example of this, but I will shout out, I'll obviously talk about Hot Streak, and we'll talk about Camel Up at the end of the episode here. Those are like the betting racing games, all the Ready Set Bet, but just strict racing. Again, Heat is a deck builder, where you're racing these cars. It is based off a game called Flamme Rouge, which I don't own Heat, but I do own Flamme Rouge, which is bicycle racing. And it looks really cool. I have a really cool version I got secondhand from someone like kind of blinged out the inside of the box. So I haven't actually played my new version. I watched a couple videos. It looks awesome. I think there's a couple people, shout out to my buddy Ken, and he says that he prefers Flamme Rouge to Heat Pedal to Metal. I think that's great. And I mostly because of the simplicity, and I think that makes me excited. I trust him on that. I don't love a lot of fussiness when it comes to racing games. That's the best thing about a racing game. Just get to the end. It's very straightforward. I would say my favorite, having not played Magical Athlete yet, I think Magical Athlete might be my favorite game of all time. On paper, Magical Athlete is my favorite game of all time. I'll talk about it in 1 second. But my current favorite is Quest for El Dorado. I do think, if we're going to bring up the good doctor again, it is either his highest ranked or his second highest ranked. It's in the low hundreds. He does not have a game in the BGG top 100, but Tigers and Euphrates and Quest for El Dorado are high. And Quest for El Dorado is straight up, let's race to El Dorado using this deck building mechanism and going through hex tiles. It's a great game, and I love it as a gateway game because it's just so easy to teach people, like, hey, You just got to get to the end. And you use green cards to go on a green tile. You use blue cards to go on a blue tile. I think that is really great. Magical Athlete is an OG game that CMYK has got a new one. I did not get my copy of Hot Streak off the first printing, and I got the most serious FOMO I've had in a long time. So as soon as it got on a pre-order for the second edition, or the second printing, I bought Hot Streak and Magical Athlete, and they both arrived at my house very recently. So obviously we talk about Hot Streak. Magical Athlete is just a board, a bunch of different meeples, all these characters. Every single character has a completely unique ability. You draft 3 of them. And then it is a roll and move race game. Like you're just racing to the end, you just roll the dice and move it. But the characters have all these different powers, and you can only use, it's a 3 race kind of Grand Prix, and you can use each character once. So a lot of the decision is, when do I use my best character? Do I use it? And all of them are kind of like overpowered too. It looks incredible. I promise you we'll be talking it on the channel later, because I'm so excited to play this game. Goes up to 6. And it was really big in Asia and some people's like grail game for a long time. So I'm really glad it's here. The art looks incredible too. Racing's great. Any final thoughts on that?
No. I just think it's just like you said. It's one of those things that there's been around for a while. That they're re-implementing some older games. That they're just bringing back. They're adding things new to kind of get them better, make them better. But honestly, like I said, what I really enjoy about this hobby is that, I know for us as being the hobbyist, it's like we want more people at the table. Like, how do we get people? Like, we're telling people, like, they're like, oh, you play board games like Monopoly? No.
Yeah,
like, you haven't experienced what this hobby is about. Like, let me just introduce you to something that I have in my collection, and I know you'll fall in love with it, or I know you'll enjoy it. And for me, it's all about, if I can introduce you to 1 or 2 games that you might say, hey, where do you get this game at, so I can buy it for myself? Like, I feel I feel great when I hear someone like that. They'll text me or they'll call me and be like, hey, where can I buy that game that I played at your house?
Oh, there's
and
no
they
better
purchase
feeling.
it.
There's no better feeling.
And then like, and that might be the only game they play for the next 10 years.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But I know that it's replacing Monopoly in their household. So I've done my job.
Yes.
But like,
spreading the good
is
word.
One of those games that, racing is one of those things that I think people can gravitate to because they know what it is. They know what you're trying to do. So
super approachable. I love that. Okay, my last category here, and again, I'm gonna be a little quick on this. We're running close to time here. Thank you all for listening to us yap about board games. That's what we're here for on the Board States podcast. My second category, my genre here, I am taking directly from my boy Jared Carmichael. If you don't know his channel, you've probably seen it on YouTube. It's called 3 Minute Board Games. He makes these awesome videos on it. He came out with a book this year called 101 Board Games to Try Before You Die. I bought it myself. I love it. It's great. And he had one term in there that I'd never heard before, and he called these games take and make games. Okay?
Ooh.
Take and make games. And my gateway game was a take and make game, King Domino. Take and make games are kind of taking something from the middle, typically in a drafting fashion or from a hand, and making something in front of you, as opposed to one of the classics like a Carcassonne, where we're all adding to the middle of the table, or like a Monopoly or a Root, where we're all playing and competing in the middle of the table. We're taking from the middle of the table and making our own thing in front of us. Sometimes these games get called multiplayer solitaire, but I'm specifically talking about almost all of these are either tiles or dice. Some of them are cards where you're taking something and making something pretty, and you have a big final product at the end. So King Domino plays on the original component of dominoes, where they have 2 different numbers on each side of the I don't even know what you call it. On each side of the domino, on each side of the line. Go watch Jazz's most watched video on how to play Puerto Rican dominoes. And you match it together based on the terrains. There's a new version of it. I gotta say, I'm not a fan of the art of the new one. I love my classic 2016 King Domino, if you can go find it. But you build out your own kingdom, and it just feels so good to have a finished product. I just love that genre. And that's 2016. So there's a couple more recent than that. Sagrada, another one of my favorite games. This
Great
is with
one.
dice.
Yes.
Yeah, you're drafting dice in a snake draft formation, which we just did last episode. You like Sagrada as well?
I think honestly, I think Sagrada is a must-own for anyone in their collection.
I do too. I think it's just so great.
This is one that if you're starting a board game collection, Sagrada is one you should have on your list.
Yeah, 100%. It's just so great. I love it so much. My problem with it is I'm spoiling a video that will be coming out on Chaz's channel, but I did a $500 beginner collection on his channel, and I couldn't fit Sagrada in the budget because you got to buy the 5 to 6 player expansion because of all the things that it adds. You don't even need to play it 5 or 6 players. But anyway, Sagrada is an example of this where you take the dice and you put them on your little player board that's dual layered, and you're trying to make a pretty stained glass there as well. The hex tile ones, the flat out games, Cascadia, very, very famous, very beloved, drafting 4 tiles from 4 tiles and 4 habitats and 4 wildlife, and making your own habitat, and you can put it wherever you want. Just make this beautiful one that scores in a certain way based on the animals. Calico does this, but even more restricted and super intense with the patterns. Yeah. Do you have a preference between Calico and Cascadia?
In my house, the preferred game is Calico.
Calico, yeah.
Cascadia was one that I enjoyed, but we got rid of it for another game that kind of does similar. Why can't I think of it? It's the starts with the A, the Acropolis.
Oh, Acropolis, yeah. Acropolis, another one. That I would compare that to the new Cascadia Alpine Lakes because it goes up. You can go vertical.
Correct.
And then Harmonies is really beloved right now. I have gone on record saying I don't love it as much as I like Cascadia, but I respect that this falls right in line with this genre of game of you're taking these little discs and you're putting them onto your own thing, and you draft it in like an Azul style. And then 2 of my favorites that are a little more, if you want to go like a step up in complexity, we've talked about this earlier today as well. Also, Castles of Burgundy. I would consider this a take and make. It's like you are taking tiles from one of 6 depots, and you have to use dice worker placement kind of to do that. Or it's not worker placement, I guess. It's dice drafting. You use the dice to pick which depot you take from, and you're building on all these different asymmetric maps, which are really awesome. And I just love that feeling of building it. And the game that encapsulates this the most from 2024, probably my favorite game from 2024, is Stone Spine Architects. And so Jazz was
never played it.
Oh yeah, I love it. Jazz, you were just talking about this with Flip Tunes is the same designer, Jordi Adon.
Yes,
the same designer
Jordi Adon, yes.
And so this one is a closed drafting game. You draft these cards, but the cards, they really act like tiles. They have these little pathways on them. You're building a dungeon where these minotaurs who are like trying to impress the dungeon master or the grand architect, and you just have all these different symbols that you're trying to balance. I think that's my favorite thing about the take and make. Usually it's like you're drafting a tile or a card or a dice, and you've got to find the perfect spot for it. And sometimes you're going to you have multiple objectives you're going for, whether public or private, and you're going to have to sacrifice some of those. And it's just like the lane battler thing of like, I love that choice of like, what is worth more to me right now, or what could potentially get me more points. And I'll draft that tile now. Stone Spine does it in a beautiful, beautiful production. It doesn't do anything new, does not reinvent the wheel, but it just does it in such a clean way with cards and a beautiful production. Bought that with my own money. The mascot of my channel is the plushie Minotaur from that game. So those are all every single take and make that I wanted to talk about. Of course I said I was going to be quick and was typically verbose.
No, but those are good ones. Yeah, you mentioned some good ones. Like as you mentioned, Azul is one that I would put right in that category. Yeah. Great list there.
Awesome. Okay, do you want to move on to before we go on that, if there's some other emerging genres, I had many on my short list. I was thinking of talking about 2-player only games. I think has been rising more. Were there other ones that you were thinking about maybe bringing up?
I nothing that I really thought, like those are the things that come right to mind. But like you said, 2-player only games, you're starting to see more and more of these, popping up. It's like, and I love a 2-player only game. Like for me to add a game to my collection, one thing it has to play well at 2 players. Yeah,
because of your
like for me that I'm purchasing.
Yeah.
Right. For me and even if it's not my wife, that's how it originally was. But like, it's got to play really well at 2. If it's a game in my collection doesn't play well at 2, most likely it's either been a review copy or it's a party game.
Party game, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And you got to have those two. Yeah, that's good. The only other one I had on my short list was like co-op scenario games. I think are really the Crew.
Oh yeah.
Fellowship of the Ring are both trick-taking versions, but like Bomb Busters, for example, like won the Spiel.
Yes.
It won the Spiel. And it's a great example of like, that's a co-op scenario. It's got 66 scenarios or whatever. It's a deduction game. And I think that's starting to be a trend that people love. You love to get bang for your buck in a game like that. So that maybe been one that, if you have other ones, your listeners, if you want to give us some genres that you feel like, I would love to hear this. I think we only brought 2 each, plus the 2 we knew people might talk about. So yeah, comment, send us an email if any.
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah, let us know which ones you like. All right, Jazz, let's talk about our En La Mesa. We kind of teased them with your racing category here, but let's talk about Camel Up.
Well, Camel Up Second Edition. Honestly, I never played the first Camel Up. It was one game that, when I started getting into the hobby and you see like reviewers and content creators talking about, oh, Camel Up is just a great game. It's one to add, fun game to add to your collection, a racing game. It's also this like betting game. But Camel Up Second Edition adds these crazy camels, I think, into it, which weren't in the original game. It might have been in an expansion. I'm not too sure. But this is a very light, like I think the weight of this is, I think, 1.51 on BGG, but it's got a 7.6 rating. And it's designed by Stefan Bogen. It's a 3 to 8 player game. So again, you need that. It's not a 2-player game. Plays 30 to 45 minutes, but man, you can play this fast. I'm going to tell you right now, Reg, my birthday was just this past weekend.
Happy birthday. Feliz cumpleaños.
2 weekends ago, right? From when we're recording this. And just in 2 days, we played this game 10 times.
That's crazy.
Like,
wow.
In 2 days. And I'm talking about late night games, Reg.
Yeah.
And
it's raucous.
And it was one that I just recently had picked up, like secondhand for like $15 somewhere. And I says, let's play this. It's quick. I've never, I'm not going to teach anything new, just something that's quick and easy to learn. And everybody's like, let's play it again. Let's play it again. Let's play it again. But in Camel Up, pretty much the game starts off where you're racing these camels and no one has ownership of any of the camels. But on your turn, you can either roll a die from the pyramid to move one of these camels. You can choose to take a betting tile, which is what you're saying is that at the end of this leg of the race, that tile that you're trying to say that camel's either going to be in first or second place to score some points. You can choose to just it's to take a. I'm trying to think what the other things you can do on this. You can play a card into the winning to be the overall winner or the overall loser in the game. Again, score points depending on if you're the first one to put in there in one of those piles, you'll gain more points. And there's one other action I can't think you can do. There's another, like, this is another tile or something you can take. I can't think of it right now, but
it might be like first player token or something. I haven't played it in a long time.
Yeah, it's something like that. Yeah, but it's one of those. It's just super, super fun. But what's cool though is that when your camel races and it lands on, you can place a tile that's either going to add +1 or -1 to a camel's movement if it lands on that tile. And if a camel does land on your tile that you place out, you're going to get a coin. And pretty much these coins just are points. So, but what's cool about this game is, like, if a camel lands on a space where there's already another camel, it stacks on top of it. And if a camel is on top of another camel, the one that's on top is considered in first place. Yeah. But the crazy camels are going in the opposite direction. And if for some reason you can actually take a camel and move it, further back, and it's going to be losing the race, but it's really cool. We've seen camels that were in last place, and people are betting that this camel is going to lose the race, winds up being the winner. So it's just a fun game.
Yeah, that's
fun,
great.
Laughs at the table.
I played this at a local meetup, and so I don't own a copy. And the game that I'll be talking about, Hot Streak, is very much compared to this one. And it's so interesting because it's really a betting game. Like you said, like, you don't own any of the camels, but you are trying to persuade. You have a little bit of sway on what happens to them and, like, putting things on the board and stuff, but you also ultimately are trying to just see who you think is going to win and be the first one to bet. There's a lot of timing of betting it. And just are you playing large player counts? Is that what you're doing there?
We've played it at 4 and 5 is where we've played it, but I haven't yet played it at 8. This one definitely, if I have 8 people, I'm bringing this game out.
You got them. And let's also just shout out secondhand buying of games. Like, let's get more people you should be buying used games. You should be selling your games. It's such an awesome thing about this hobby is just, if you're not playing it and you want to get rid of it, that's great. But also, if you're looking to buy games, you don't have to always buy the top newest game. I mean, Camel Up's what, 2008 or something?
I think like originally, yeah, but I think the most recent one, this was a 2018 edition, I think. And so it's
for $15, you just can't beat that. That's awesome.
No.
Awesome. Okay. Well, my game is very similar. My and La Mesa, the last one, I've only played this one time. I want to say this. I did buy this with my own money, brand new. As I say, you should buy games used. I'm going to say I bought this straight up from the CMYK website because I had such serious FOMO. So you're probably listening to this now and you've already played this game and you know all about it. But Hot Streak is designed by John Perry, and I want to give him a shout out because he's the designer of Air, Land, and Sea, which we just spent a good amount of time talking about. And I listened to him recently on a podcast on Decision Space, talking about his design philosophy. He's awesome. I really love the way he thinks about games. CMYK is the publisher, 2 to 9 players, which I think is a great player count, and it has a weight of 1.28. So it's even more approachable than Camel Up, according to BGG users. It's pretty new. So I would say approachability is the number one thing. We played this at like 7 or 8 players. My wife and I, 2 other adults, her sister and our brother-in-law, a 9-year-old, our niece, and my grandparents who are older. And they, there's some games that are really hard for them to like Sea Salt and Paper was like, it broke their brain, but they love Ticket to Ride. They like Scout, which is crazy. They love Scout. So they've really been getting into games with me. And we all had a blast. Like teaching the game, it felt like they were so nervous at first. They're like, what are you saying? This is so weird. All it is 4 mascots, and they are all these people in mascots doing a race like at a sporting event. It is so great, and you don't own any of the mascots. You are betting on these mascots. And so there's Mum, who's like in kind of like a queen costume. There's Gobbler the hot dog. Gobbler's like a bear. Then there's Hurley the hot dog. And then there's Dangler, which is like an anglerfish. And my favorite thing, these miniatures are so beautiful. They're in the box right away. And they have their little eyes pointing out of like the mouths of the mascot, just like in real life if you were ever to like.
That's awesome.
Yeah, if you've ever been in an inflatable chicken costume singing a mass singer at the high school you work at, Reggie, then you know that you're looking right through the thing. But the mascots are going, and they just go crazy. There's going to be a big deck of cards. Before the game starts, you get 3 cards, and then there's a amount of starting cards in the middle. Everybody gets 1 starter card, and then it just varies. And then you look, and it's like, oh, there's 4 cards for Hurley to help him move forward. So he's probably going to be the best one. But what's amazing is that the deck is going to just flip over and you're just flipping cards one at a time. And so the order of how they move is very important. So the 3 cards you have, you get to look at those. You get to make your bets. Everybody gets 2 bets. You can either bet on someone getting first, second, or third, any of the 4 mascots, and there's always a different side bet, and you can vote yes or no. You can, if that side bet's going to happen. Usually it's like, will Mum be in 3rd or 4th place, or will she be in 1st and 2nd place? So it says like, will she finish top 2? If you said yes, she would be 1st or 2nd. If you bet no, you're saying she's going to be 3rd or 4th. And you can make an educated guess based on the cards are all face up in the middle of like, what's going to be in the deck. You just don't know how the deck is going to flip over. And then right before the race happens, this is what makes it so fun, in my opinion. You have your 3 cards. You have these random cards in your hand, and everybody gets to put 1 into the deck and just throws a wrench in. So it's like Hurley looks great,
nice.
but I have the card that makes Hurley fall down, and so I'm not going to bet on Hurley. I'm going to bet on Dangler, and I'm going to throw the fall down card in there. And you don't know when things are going to come out. It's completely random in that way, but it's got a nice snake draft for drafting the betting, which I think is great. And I think that's just the thing about both these games is that it is so wacky. And you just don't feel that bad when your person doesn't lose, and you feel so great when your person wins. You're like, I knew it. I did it perfectly. I put the perfect card in there, and it's just so great. The production value, I think, should be highlighted more. I think a lot of people are talking about it, but it's got the miniatures like I mentioned. But if you look at it, the box, it's a little tough to go on a shelf. I actually don't know where it's going to go on my shelf, to be fair. But it's got this wind up thing on the side. You pull out the racetrack like from, I don't even know what to explain it, like almost like a conveyor belt comes out of the box as the board that they run on. So Hot Streak is awesome. I think it's completely worth the hype. This is never leaving my collection. I cannot wait to play this with my friends. I played this with, my family, the royal family, the Queen's family, who are not necessarily sweaty gamers like me. And we had such a fun time. They were dubious. But I think it worked out really great. And Hot Streak it's the hotness for a reason.
Yeah, I'm excited. Those are actually, we mentioned that one and Magical Athlete, and those are two games that are on my must buy previously to this episode. But yeah, now that you actually explained it, yeah, it's one that I think, especially knowing that Camel Up was a big success, this is one that I think I'm going to add to my collection.
And that's what's so tough is that it's almost like between these two games that we're talking about, Hot Streak and Camel Up, and Magical Athlete and Ready Set Bet, it's kind of like the trick taking thing. Like, do you need all four of those? I don't know. So once I play Magical Athlete, I'll decide. I think the big...
Yes. Again, the answer to the question is always yes.
Okay, that's it. Yep. Okay, there you go. That's we've decided it. That's great. That's our En La Mesa. Jazz, will you sign us off?
Again, guys, we enjoy you for sticking around with us and just listening, having fun with us, from the start of the game. Listen, I started with a 4 for 4 back to back. This is crazy.
You are honestly a beast now in the state of mind. He's expanded his mind, people. We're going to have to make it more difficult next round.
But yes, guys, in the comments, wherever you're listening to us at whatever platform, or even through email, let us know what games do you think would fit some of these categories? What about games that or genres of games that you have been hitting, that are just the buzz for you right now, the ones that you're always looking at when a new game in that genre drops, you're already looking on BGG or going to YouTube and watching the newest update video on it because you're interested in it right now. Let us know. We would like to know why, because we want to just continue to support the best hobby in the world, board games. We always want to actually add board games to our collection, even though our wallets are very empty. But overall, again, we just want to be where friends become rivals and the board states decide the outcome. But remember, you can always reach us at boardstatespod@gmail.com. Again, we appreciate you for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Nos vemos.